England, Europe, me have fun can done. But everybody know ain't no place like home. Me no know about you, but me love think it's bad. Me no know what them a talk about. When them say think it's mad. When everywhere in the world have problems, everywhere need God. Tell them easy no man. From your love think it's bad. Me no know about you, but me love think it's bad. Me no know what them a talk about. When them say think it's mad. When everywhere in the world have problems, everywhere need God. Tell them easy no man. From your love think it's bad. Full time if you big up me own, yeah. Big up me home. Me no want hear nothing about politics. Right you now I leave that alone. And me woman me ice enough. Oje with the ital rice enough. By the time come everybody nice enough. You know them one zone. Me no know about you, but me love think it's bad. Me no know what them a talk about. When them say think it's mad. When everywhere in the world have problem, everywhere need God. Tell them easy no man. From your love think it's bad. Come take a look. More food.
Morning, good morning. You're in tune to Win FM 98.9. That is 98.9 on your radio dial. It's Friday morning. Thank God it's Friday for some of us. And oh my gosh, it's Friday for some others. It's the day where we recognize that we would have completed a whole working week. And some of us, we should be grateful. Because for others, they're home and wondering when they will be able to say the same thing like you. So we should be grateful. We take a lot of things for granted sometimes. But now, after COVID-19, I seem to reflect on a lot of things that I've taken for granted and realize it's the simple things in life that counts. Thank God for life is what I would say. The universe has been great to me. And I'm grateful. And I do wish sooner or later that we all can find ourselves in a situation where life, when we say it, we mean it, that life is good. That has been my mantra. Life is good. I live the life I love, and I love the life I live. Okay, it's about that time for Your Views. Your Views is a program that is hosted on Voices every Friday morning at 10 o'clock with your host, Sandra Quilly Atherton. We talk about what you feel like. It's not a Voices program. It's a program where we can criticize constructively, and we say things based on the topic that we're discussing to see whether or not the powers that be can hear us and they can make some decisions. And that's what it's all about. It's about you guiding the people that you elect to office on what you want and how they should go about doing it. Not necessarily that you're going to do it your way, but at least they will be hearing you. And that is why I have the program Your Views. Your Views really matters. So it's a program that you can call in. But today, I don't think we are going to have, you can call in today. I have a guest, not with me, but technology has provided me the opportunity that I can still talk to my guests, or not in studio, but on telephone. I'm going to check with my right wing man and see whether or not we have that guest online. Let's test. Good morning.
Yes, good morning, Sandra.
Okay, great. My guest is online. I have with me this morning no other, not with me, but on phone, none other than the Honorable Eon Patches Liburd. He was and still can be and will be. Patches, I don't even know what to say you're going to be, but I know you're going to be the representative for, and I don't want any disrespect to based on the results from the last polls. You have been the representative for East Bastere, constituency number 1. You are presently making sure that that position is given back to you. I know that you would have done some filing yesterday. I'm talking over the top. You're going to make the corrections. You would have done some filing yesterday. Let's see from you. You would be able to tell me where you're at right now and what's the position. The question is, how are you this morning?
Sandra Atherton, I am peaceful. I'm thanking God for life, and I am thanking you for the invitation. In the process, I want to apologize for overlooking my commitment to be with you this morning. But thank God for technology. It has bailed me out. And I want to as well in the process thank the people of East Bastia who continue to provide overwhelming support to me. And as I've always committed to them that I won't sit, no one can take my seat because I will always stand for the people of East Bastia. And don't say anything, Sandra, because a faith beats failure. Yes, demonstrate faith because faith beats success. What you are saying is absolutely correct. And so you put your faith in Almighty God that He is the only one who sets up and He's the only one who puts down, not man.
It's true.
In terms, yes, of the election petition, which was filed yesterday at approximately 1 o'clock or thereabouts, before 1 o'clock, and all the conditions are met, and we anticipate that in due course, the case number has already
Been assigned?
assigned. So we just wait on the court process, which I believe, I'm not a lawyer, but the case management and what have you. The respondents have also been served yesterday. The first respondent, German Lee, who is the returning officer for St. Christopher I, and of course the second respondent, Jeffrey Hanley. So that has already been ensured. As you would recall, I know there seems to be quite a lot of mix-up with these numbers, but the official declaration made by the Supervisor of Elections, Mr. Elvin Bailey, on Saturday the 6th of June, indicated that Hanley was allocated some 1,658 votes. Yours truly patches 1,634 votes, which means there's a difference of 24 votes, if my mathematics are correct. He has declared that there were 6 poll ballots and there were 98 rejected ballots. 98. His mathematics seem to be at various mind, but that gives you a total of 3,396 votes. The supervisor of elections, for whatever reason, he said that there's a total of 3,380 votes cast, which shows me there's some 16 votes to give. But there's part of all the anomalies that seem to have occurred during that counting period. But here's where we are. And as I said, I have a retained counsel. Douglas Mendes, Christopher Hammer-Smith, Michael Comino, and Talib Byron.
Wow.
Those are some of the best constitutional lawyers within the region and beyond.
Wow. Well, Ian, I know, and just like you said, no, fear is not a factor for me, and it's not a part of my vocabulary. I'm not afraid to say it, and, but I was talking on your behalf. For me, of course not. I know that you would be returned. It's the things that I would have seen, and it left for me to question, when your seat, honestly, your seat for me was a show-in. There was no question about that. One, because of the things that I've seen that you would have done. Two, the fact that you would have made that contribution of half of your salary to your constituents. That for me is A1. Three, your portfolio. There's no question about that. You have done way over you've met more than expectations. Way over expectations. And so your seat for me, and that's how I analyze elections. I don't look at the candidate and the opposition, and I look at performance, because for me performance matters. And I think that you would have outperformed yourself in the portfolio that was given to you, and your commitment to the people of East Bastia. Then after I recognized you didn't win your seat, or you would have lost according to the results, I said I would never even think about going into politics, because people are not voting on issues, they're voting otherwise. But I'm happy to know that you would have recognized that the people didn't do that, and based on information coming through, you have the opportunity to have the court to look at it a second time and let the court make that decision. But how do you feel now, though, Mr. Liebert? What are you doing now? What besides filing petitions and stuff? What are you doing now? Are you on a extended vacation so long, or are you still busy working for your constituents in East Bastia?
Well, most of all those things, above all, it's a feeling of rest for me.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we all need to feel of rest, and I can recuperate. You know, one thing I didn't say also was the people at East Bastia for whom on whose behalf I am fighting. They will, as a party, being frustrated,
Mm-hmm.
and we have to look at that. But in terms of what I'm doing, I'm still keeping occupied in terms of plans for the future.
Good.
I'm still availing myself to the Prime Minister in terms of any advice and our assistance, and he has provided and give me overwhelming support, which I'm eternally grateful. I still look forward to being a critical player in the development going forward. So we started a transformation here in St. Kitts and Nevis,
Mm-hmm.
and I am happy and humbled, I should say, to have been spearheading that transformation from an infrastructure perspective, development perspective, and a revitalization of the entire country, inclusive of Bastia and beyond. So I'm looking forward to continuing being part of that continuing transformation in St. Kitts and Nevis, and that irrespective of whatever position I hold, I will be part of it. And I'm focusing on that from a positive standpoint, as I know, as the people have said, without any doubt whatsoever, that Team Unity has delivered, and Team Unity has promised to continue to deliver. And that's what the people are saying, and I look forward to joining my colleagues so we can really move forward in a positive way and move forward on the will of all the people of St. Kitts and Nevis.
Well, there wasn't only the issue of the irregularities at the count. There's also the issue of your opponent's citizenship status. Did you make filing on that one too? Is there a petition on that one too?
Well, the petition, part of the petition, really, yes, refers to what is called disqualification, right? Because we believe that by virtue of the act of the second respondent, by virtue of his own act, by virtue of the act done by Jeffrey Hanley, was under acknowledgement of allegiance, obedience, and adherence to a foreign power or state, and namely the United States of America. He obtained citizenship in that country by way of naturalization. I think it was sometime in 2007. And we do not believe that he was qualified to be elected a member of the National Assembly. And that's by virtue of section, I think it's 28, 1A of the Constitution, St. Nevis, and section 6(1)A of the National Assembly Election Act. And we've been through that before with his leader in terms of Denzel Douglas. So the country, I know, is quite familiar with that process.
Mm-hmm.
So we are asking the court to make a decision on it. I mean, I don't want to go into too many details.
And I agree with you.
But that is on the surface what we are looking at. As what I, as a petitioner, is asking the court as well to consider whether he falsely declared in his in his statutory declaration to be nominated as a candidate for election and as a member of the National Assembly, and we are asking the court to rule on that.
I've always had difficulties understanding that, though. I thought when a person was, present themselves as a candidate, I mean, there are certain things that they have to present too. Example, because the law states that if you cannot hold dual citizenship and sit in parliament, and so therefore, before you can become a candidate or qualify to become a candidate, I thought those were the things that you have to make presentations of the fact that you were not the recipient or a person holding dual citizenship before one should contest an election, because now you have to go through that process, that legal process of proving whether or not the candidate was qualified in order to do so.
Well, birds of a feather flock together.
Yeah.
And although his leader did it in a different manner, as we call that he got elected and then start to procure or start to find allegiance with a foreign power or a foreign state, being Dominica. And he did it after, and he figured that was all right. This one, it would seem, right, did it before. So as I said, the courts will look into the matter, and then obviously we will have a counterbalance from his own lawyers, no doubt. And once there is, and there will be, I should say, disclosure, and that matter will be put to rest once and for all. But it does not, in any way, right, overshadow the anomalies that occurred that count on the night of Friday the 5th of June. Because, when you look at the rejection of good and valid votes in my favor, I mean, when you look at, even do a summary, even do an analysis, I should say, in St. Kitts, I think overall there were just about 158 or 59 rejected ballots.
And 93.
And out of that, 98, almost 100 of those ballots were in my constituency,
Wow.
in my area. I mean, that tells a picture. And then when you look at Munich, there were just overall 60 ballots in 3 constituencies. In 8 constituencies here, there were 158 or 59 rejected ballots. And in one of those 8 constituencies, which is mine, 98 were rejected. And we have, even for the people's sake, right? We have to investigate that. We have to put that forward to the court, as we know that the majority of them were mine. And I want to make this point absolutely clear as well, because when I've heard someone made mention of the last elections in 2015, and I won by 4 votes, the then candidates or counting agents for the candidates, they recounted, and recounted.
Mm-hmm.
Overall, there were 21 or 22 ballots rejected. And if he had to recount, we knew that 18 of those 21 or 22 ballots were mine. So he had no reason to go to the court to ask for recount of the ballots, because he knows, and his agents knew they were my ballots. So in fact, truth and fact, I should have won the election by 22 votes.
Mm-hmm.
I haven't said this publicly before, but that is fact.
Mm-hmm.
So there's no comparison, and there's no need going back there, because if you had recounted, as a matter, you would have lost by 21 or 22 votes, period. But the fact is, when we accepted, okay, we have won. You can count on me a billion times. It won't change the pool. But if the count, think of that. If the count a billion times, we will change the pool upwards to 22 or 21.
Yep.
We don't reduce the pool. So I want to dispel that notion that yes, I won by 4. In truth and fact, if we had to be truthful, and we had to accept as the validity of the vote, I would have won by 22 votes. So I want to make that point clear. But in this case, right, the rejection of good and valid votes were really something out of the norm, anomaly.
Yeah.
I was asked to leave the area, and by law, I am entitled to be there. And I was not able to even look at my code. But that's, again, getting into the mechanics of the case. I don't want to say much more on that particular area. But there was serious anomalies, and we had to challenge what I call an undue return of the results in East Pastia constituency number 1.
And you have a right, and you're not, like you said before, you're not fighting on your behalf, because that's not your fight. It's on the people's behalf. The people have decided on that. Then it's unfair that people's decision can just be thrown out and consider or be rejected as a spoil or rejected ballot. Let me ask you a question though, Ian, because I've always heard about rejected ballots, and you've been in the position 2 times too much. What does one consider rejected? Is it because I hear the silliest thing about if your ex is touching the line, it can be considered rejected. I thought as long as you're showing intent. If I put an X on top of a hat, isn't that the fact that I'm showing intent of where I want who I want to vote for?
That sounds as seems quite logical. But that again depends on the returning officer, and his interpretation. I should have pulled that piece of legislation while I'm speaking with you, but I think it speaks to mark in the box though. But if it's on the hat, if I was returning officer and someone puts the X on the hand, I would have no difficulty in allocating that X to that person who has the symbol.
Mm-hmm.
But yes, you're so right. But the X or the party symbol ought to be something that is accepted and not rejected. And there are issues where X's are marks, what they call appendages, is touching the line and things like that. I mean, how can we could reject the ballot that's in the box and it touches the line? Come on, there has to be something has to be wrong with that in terms of interpretation. But that again will be left to the courts to decide.
I thank God we have those alternatives that we can go to.
Well, it can be rejected as well if there's no mark. If somebody just has a blank, it doesn't takes the ballot, goes inside, doesn't put the mark on it, then you reject it. So if somebody marks in both boxes
that could, I can see that, because that's
there are ground rules that can easily establish in terms of how and what ballots on what basis on what basis rather you reject ballots. But there's also a misinterpretation of there with spoiled ballots. But spoiled ballots don't really go into the box of counts. Spoiled ballots are put aside by the presiding officers in different polling stations.
Mm-hmm.
But rejected ballots are the ones that are counted. Spoiled ballots are not.
Okay, because spoiled ballots is the definitive, definitely.
Yeah.
It's just...
They don't go into the box. They should not go into the box.
Yeah, because they're spoiled. And I do understand that. Okay, let's talk about politics now, Ian. And what politicians should be held accountable for. When you look at your situation, let's just talk about you. I look at your situation, like I said, I look at the hard work that you would have put in, and the fact that you still had to fight so hard, because for me, it was a straightforward thing based on your performance. But then when you look at the fact that you still have to fight so hard, what do you think? Where are the areas you think that you could have paid more attention to, or paid more attention to, basically? Which area you think that you should have paid more attention, or areas that you think that you would have neglected because of the fact that you had too much to do? Or do you think that your portfolio was too heavy and so the people think that you would have neglected them?
Well, what I've seen entering into the politics of today, it's really troubling. The entitlement mentality and I say so respectfully, of electors,
Yep.
it is something that's growing concern to most people. The what they call the battering of your vote.
Yep.
I mean, the battering of votes is another thing. I mean, when someone comes to you, shows he or she shows you this ID and says it's worth $500.
Wow.
I need $500 if you want my vote. That's it. What's in it for me? You know, the thing about politics, it seems to have been losing it, and it seems to be a worldwide phenomenon, or perhaps a Caribbean-wide phenomenon, I must say. We the vote, like I said, is transactional, right? No one is looking at the overall development of the country of the birth and the country in which they live. No one is looking at the situations where you are creating an environment where jobs are created and an environment that's clean and healthy, where a government provides social assistance where needed, and,
Wow.
and as I said, developing a country that we all can live in and we all can get opportunities. Right? It's for now. It's for now. Whereas I believe that, especially as someone born in Fishbay, Newtown Fishbay, I have heard that if you give a man a fish, you feed him for a day.
Hmm.
But I've learned to teach that man how to fish, and you feed him for a lifetime.
Exactly.
And that is the divergence I find in the politics of today. That people are just thinking about now, right? I mean, yes, you come to ask the question about what I have done and what I have not done. I mean, it's difficult intellectual to face. You know, it gets more difficult each day. For example, let me take an example. One day, this lady called me and said, I haven't seen her for some time, right? And I said to her, but I normally be in my office, my constituency office, every Thursday. As a matter of fact, I started 2 days per week and I had to scale down because it became real taxing.
Hectic, yeah.
And we had to juggle that with your work and in the ministry, I led. And the lady, she shocked me. And she said, wait a minute. Before you got elected, you came by to see me. So you say now I elect you, I must come to see you.
Oh.
You know, and it was, and she was right. You know, I'm not saying she was wrong, but I'm just saying the difficulty you have, right, in the different people you have to deal with, and how you satisfy all. But one, I look at the fact, though, that if I lead the development of the resources, for example, of the Alameda Road, that impacts everybody, inclusive of my own constituents.
Definitely.
Because it saves you on wear and tear on your vehicle, right? You don't have to drop it in the potholes and have to buy shocks every minute and so on. So you, as a constituent, it's done. Yes, our politics are local. And as I mentioned at the meeting some nights ago, I recall that our housing development here on Wellington Road and West Street, I believe that the frustration that came from within the NHC and the board of directors of NHC, that really stagnated that project. And I'm not afraid to say it. I believe that had the board been more receptive to the fact that we are trying to eradicate a slum area in East Basseterre, the chairman of that board would have made certain, right, that project was delivered, and 60 families in East Basseterre would have been better off.
Wow.
That was not so. And I'm not complaining, but I think it's time I stopped being so quiet and speak the truth.
I think so too.
Well, so little things like these, I believe, impacted negatively on it. Because don't tell me a project being envisioned or being created over 3 years, and it took 3.5 years and more, and it's still not completed. And the monies are there. The monies are there for the project, right? The half of the $8 million was provided by grant funding. So you have 60 homes for $4 million. Come on. Well, there's no reason whatsoever that NSC should not have completed that project. And I stand by my word, and I will defend it and I mean no offense to anybody, but the truth must be told.
The truth must be told. I agree with you.
I can go on, but really, it is what it is. Right? I did my best, and I will continue to do my best for the people of these parts here. And I've always been anything I did. Right? If I played football from your tongue, I played well. If I was a soccer referee, I was a good soccer referee. If I sang in a band from your tongue, I was a good singer. I'm not trying to be boastful, but everything I did for these parts here, I've tried to do it well. Anything I did period for the country, I tried to do it the best of my ability.
And you're not blowing your own trumpet because it's very visible, and I saw that.
I want to make the point too, Sandra, right? Because some people wonder what is happening, and this is something I always pass on to the younger people, right? Is that always prepare yourself for when you come down or come back down. So what goes up must
come down. It's the laws of nature.
I have always prepared myself, because one of the things I always told people who are close to me, politics will never change Ian Patrick's life, right? I will always remain the same way. I will go down by the bed, sit down and eat my fish. Don't give me the fat. No, give me the fish. You know, if you should know, you have a little bit of fish with that.
Mm-hmm.
When you eat the fish with your fingers, it's sweet.
Is it sweeter? You can lick it off. You can suck out the head. I mean, it's just so different.
So, but the experience is good, and you learn from each experience, and it's a teaching experience. So whatever I will try to do it better next time.
Well, then you ask yourself the question: is there anything called better for you? Because when I look at your performance, Ian, and I'm not just saying because I'm talking to you, like I said to you before, when I saw that you were going to be my representative, I was like, oh. And it was based on people's perception. It's another thing, because I never knew you. I saw you. And people's thing was, oh, he's so hard to deal with. And the first time I stopped you, and I would never forget that, and you came and you spoke to me, I was like, no, this can't be the same person that people are saying who he is. And then I saw that you have had always, I passed, and your office was accessible. You could go in then, and I've been monitoring you because, and the reason why I've been doing that is because of the things that I would have heard about the kind of person you are. But if you were that person that people spoke about, then you did a complete 360. I mean, you're one of the easiest politicians that I can talk to, and it's a fact. For me, you're still that ordinary person. It's like talking to you. You don't have to say, never thought about you as honorable. I look at you as Ian or Patches, and you always maintain that, that pet name that you have been given. And so those are the things, those are the areas that I can't seem to understand it, because it's not even what you couldn't do for an individual. And that we have to talk about that a little more, because I recognize that for me, it's becoming a big issue where somebody, because they paid $500 or $50, or your vote now has a value. And there is legislation that states that's bribery. You should never pay somebody to vote for you. It is bribery. And we have legislation for that. But you see people sitting at the polling stations. I've heard the stories, because anybody who come and offer me to pay, I would take them to court. Offer to pay me for my vote, I would take them to court. I don't know if I can, but I will. I would definitely try that. And it's becoming a habit where politicians are buying people's votes. People are no longer looking at performances, and then the country suffers because the greedy people, they are going to get their benefit, and then we get a government that we don't deserve. And
Well,
then we,
that's the sad part of it, really. Well, it's a reality on how do we deal with it. It's not a question. Uh, I am. I've heard many things about myself, and sometimes I question my own self and wonder what are they talking about? Because if the most I can say, I will say, is that get to know me. I believe I'm one of the coolest guys on the planet. You know, and you tend to. It's good when people assess you and perhaps assess you wrongly. It helps to build you into a better individual. But the truth of the matter is that when your conscience is clear,
good.
we do things to help people in me. And there's some people who walk up to me and say, I did this for them so long ago. And I don't even recall because I do those things from the bottom of my heart. So but when you can go to bed, obviously you pray to Almighty God. I like to do that, indulge in that. My prayers in the morning and midnight and meditate. And when you go to bed, you sleep like a top.
Yep.
I blow my trumpet, so I tell you, you're doing all right. But if you have to look back and look over your shoulder each time you walk, then something is wrong, And I don't intend to live that kind of life. I live a humble, clean life. They've said, other things have been said about me. Sometimes I smile, and sometimes I don't even hear some things until people tell me. I'm not one who really indulge in gossip and, as I say, cast, this and that. And some things people would have said about me, and people would have said, why don't you should have responded to them? Why?
No,
If
it's not necessary.
sometimes you respond to them, you add credence, So, at the end of the day, what is in the dark will come to light, and each of us, every single one of us, must appear before the judgment seat of Christ. And when we do, we cannot call any witness. I can't call you Sandra to say how good I was.
Exactly.
I can't call nobody. Keep the other half met me yesterday and it touched me and he provided his support for me. And things like that make people call me every day. Actually, what I do. People call me every day and pray. Say pray on the telephone. And that makes my day. Just yesterday, a pastor who calls me every day, he refers to the book of Psalms. Psalm 23, the Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want.
Definitely.
And it goes on. So these things are important in life. And when you live your life, you live clean, let your works be seen, and then you have nothing to worry about because people will always talk. But, when they go low, you say hi. And I have been spoken about in all sorts of ways from ever since my band days. So perhaps that's the reason why I'm so insulated from lots of things. And at the end of the day, you see what happens. You see what happens in the politics. One of my greatest critics was that former Minister of Tourism. And you see what came out in the wash just last week. The man was trying to appropriate his family's property unto himself. When you heard of the former Deputy Prime Minister and the things he had said, he himself was cloaked with indignity for years. And it was the current Prime Minister who put on his clothes, clothed him with some dignity from 2015. And all these things would come to light. So you need not worry. But I would say to the people of East Barcelona, they have someone who is real, right? Who is truthful. I won't say I will do this if I can't.
That is true. I can tell you. I can say that.
Tell that to you.
I can say that.
If I can't tell you, you always have to give hope in politics. If I can't do it, I'll find a nice way to tell you not to do it. I'm not going to bluff you, right? I'll give you BS to say I will do it, and I can't deliver it. I can't live that kind of life.
And you know, I'm a firm believer that the universe gives back exactly what you give in. Whatever you do comes back to you. I'm a firm believer of that. And I've always said to people, people's perception really do not define who I am. And I've said, whatever you do, you would know. Nobody has to tell you. It's based on your what you receive, what comes back to you. So you would know whether or not you're a good person based on the lifestyle that you would live. And every day you'll be grateful, or you can see. I mean, so a lot of us hide behind the fact that we are something that we are not. But time always reveals who we are, and I am a very firm believer of that. That and at the end of the day, time reveals exactly who you are. We have 10 more minutes, Ian. Let me see if we can take some calls. Anybody who want to call in, we would open the lines. It's 6620989, 7620989, or 4660989. Those are the numbers you can call if you want to ask the minister, the honorable minister, question. You can do so. He's a minister that is on vacation. Don't get too comfortable, and you know our borders are still closed. So this is a good thing that you don't have to run back. So you're the vacation minister you are now. So your time is gonna come that you're gonna come back into office. So yeah, and like I said, I can attest to the fact what you would have said, and I know you're the kind of person, and that's why I used to like talking to you, because you never say you're gonna do it when you know you can't do it, and you never give preference to anybody, whether or not you're from East Bastia or West Bastia. As long as your part and your portfolio has the vacancy, you would allow people to do so. Let's take this call. We have a caller online. Caller, you're live on Your Views.
Hi, good morning.
Hi, good morning.
Yes, this morning on a program by the Ambassador Michael Powell, he was reading out some petitions that the Ian Patches Library
That's filed.
filed in the courthouse. Is there any way someone can find that petition online?
Ian?
It should be in the court files, I believe, but it should be in the Democrat as well. I've seen a publication in Democrat online today, and it's in that as well. And furthermore, by law, it has to be gazetted, and it would be in the public gazette as well.
Okay, so that information can be found online in the Democrats on the Democrats website, or they can wait until it's already gazetted. So therefore, that information can be found amongst government legal or court documents. So we have another caller. Let's go to that phone line and take that call. Caller, you're live on Your Views.
Greetings.
Greetings.
Thanks for accepting the call.
It's okay.
What we like to say is a continuation of something we said to Mr. Liebert last night, you know? And we put it in a question form. Should you return to your office, my brother, would you rightly take on the responsibility of making your constituency be garbage free? We're talking about the streets, the alleys, the byways, and keep it that way. Implement what ought to be implemented to keep it that way. We'll hang up and listen.
Okay, thank you for your contribution. Mr. Liebert, the garbage in your constituency. The garbage in your constituency has become a concern, and the question is whether or not you would commit to make sure that Newtown or your constituency number 1 is free from garbage, and you'll provide the necessary tools to make that a possibility?
Well, without hesitation, I can say, of course, yes, because, you know, and what else I would say continue to provide, because as part of the Ian Patches Library Social Assistance and Youth Development Fund, which it's derived from the contribution of half my salary, we provided, amongst other things, bins in different areas within the constituency to dispose of that garbage. What I did personally as well, and I spearheaded, because just recently, we had a group of 8 young men from the different parts of the area. In Taylor's Village, in Newtown, as a because I believe I'm always disgusted when I see it, not just in East, but all around the country. But yes, in East Baskin, we will continue that. We had also have planned, I should say, is to get rid of those old abandoned buildings.
Yeah.
Intention was to on George Street there to paint up some of those buildings on George Street. And in fact, we did that on the Berry from Elfrida go down. You realize that all there were concrete fences or wall fences built all the way down towards Douglas Street, and we painted them with whitewash, painted them white. That's in the corridor, a main corridor that passes through Newtown. So yes, I can say with this in terms of the health of the constituency, and as I am fully supportive of the notion that the nation help the nation well. So yes,
Yeah.
and my dear brother Eli, I will continue that in that process.
I've seen, and I've seen you drive to Newtown and you saw the difference. Again, the onus is not just on you. The people of that constituency have to take the responsibility of doing some of the work. I mean, we have, as constituents, we have to know it's us. I mean, my husband go around and clean the drain and push down. When he realized overrun areas, he would take it on himself to help clean that, because it's an environment you want to create, because you live there and you have to make sure that your environment is clean, and to avoid all those rodents that you have and other insects and that you have running around the place. You yourself have to take that the responsibility of making sure that is done. Those are the things that people look for the minister to do, but the minister has so many other things to do. I mean, you have a portfolio that you have to look after, and people have to look at the fact that you are not just the minister responsible for constituency number one. You have a portfolio that you have to look at. The whole country depends on the things that you have to do. So and we have to take that into consideration too. Yet still, you still make the time to be available for your constituents. I think that's the moment that your constituents have to make good of, utilize the opportunities that you give them when you sit in office every Thursday afternoon. You said.
Well, I will find in the old days. In the old days, right, we would have that civic pride within the community, and you clean your drains.
Mm-hmm.
And some people still lose some of that, right? It's not as widespread as it ought to be. I mean, just this morning, I cleared the land below me. It cost me money. And we have to do, I think there must be the political will, though, from here on, to really find a solution, create a policy, and implement that policy with all these abandoned properties, all these lands that are running wild with bush and putting all sorts of nuisance to neighbors. We have to address that.
I know. Yeah, we have another caller. Let's take this last call. Caller, you live on your views.
Greetings, we're glad we are the last. Because our request, is not just for constituency number one. Number one, and especially the places where low-class people are living, because we are divided in classes up to the time. You have upper, middle, and low. But I really meant the entire federation,
Good. Okay.
We want it to spread across. Cleanliness, not just talking about it, but have it there, tangible, touchable. We can see it in every nook and corner. 6832 square miles. And my beloved lady, whatever commitments the honorable minister or past minister to be minister have, it's like it's cohesive work. It's a ministry.
Yeah.
And everyone should work together to make the federation right.
I totally agree with you, caller.
We were just talking to the minister in his constituency because he's there presently, but we're talking about the entire ministry.
Good.
Making it work for all of us. Blessed love.
I hear you. Thank you. And I do agree with you 100%, Jan. One of the
callers, right? And each ministry, each portfolio has its subject, and the subject of health falls to a particular minister, right? And a minister, even though his in that particular ministry is the area of environment and health. Because if you can drive around that color, my Rasta friend, Rafi idea, drive around and see the state of the poor state of the health conditions, the conditions of the health, I should say, right? And if you can see those who are being paid and who are in supervisory position, you can't be sick.
It's
They
true.
must see it as well. When they themselves who are paid by the state, paid by the taxpayers to serve the taxpayers, it shouldn't become to any minister. It should come to them. There must be, if the drains are clean, the environmental health officer must see that, right? And other things as well. So it really boils down to people. But I know that your time is running out, Sandra, right? And I think I have been on loan. The other thing, I haven't been elected in number one. I was on loan to the country, right? Because of the portfolio of the subjects I had to deal with. You know, and it doesn't really absolve me from the commitment and the focus on the particular constituency as well. But I think we have done a lot. I mean, in constituency number one, in the area where you live, the
Yep.
Taylor's Village. I think about the days when you had the factory ash.
Yep.
After the factory was closed, they had the dust from those dirt roads. And I'm happy and humbled to be the one who came in and surfed it up, paved every
Yep,
single
you
dirt
have done
road in Taylor's Village.
Yep.
You know? And that, you know, I can go on and on, right? Things we did in the constituency. I heard a former minister say it was foolhardy to build sidewalks. I mean, what nonsense. I mean, that's absurdity. And one thing, when you're building sidewalks coming on a Wellington Road, right? And people can move away from the hazards of the and going on and coming traffic and walk and a pedestrian access. I mean, for someone to ridicule that, they have to be sick.
It shows that they don't care because let me tell you, Ian, those sidewalks has made a huge difference. You were actually walking in, and that was the bus route, and those bus drivers care not who's on the road. And so those sidewalks for me have done. And I said to you before, if it is one good thing you would have done for me, is those sidewalks. The school little children walking the road and they have to walk going to Connery. You are walking in the way of traffic. People can say that and they can ridicule it because they're not in the position, and they're not in the danger of having to walk that road because they're driving.
But in closing, I believe it may be closing now. It's not closed already. In closing, though, I intend, if the will of God, to come back and continue the work I started in East Bath in particular. We want to expand the marina there at Port Zante coming eastward up to the Sal bulk installation, and that would transform the entire new town. Right? And we will develop that. We're still building out the traffic lights. Just before COVID, the equipment, all the equipment came to traffic lights. The traffic lights up here by Rams.
Yeah.
Rams
Best Buy area.
At College Street and in Wellington Road to improve the traffic management in Bath here as well. And we intend to build out traffic lights in standard points and areas. We intend to ease the congestion on these roads. So these things that we intend to do in our second term are things that will be the positive. I will create jobs for people, and of course the connection and the physical permanence I always refer to between St. Kitts and Nevis in terms of the construction of a bridge to Nevis.
Okay, yeah, thank you for accepting my invitation. And I was panicking this morning because you normally when you don't shop, if you don't shop, I would have to come up with a program myself, and I didn't make any preparations for that because you gave me the assurance that you were going to be there, and even that you stick to it whether or not you could have come. You decided that you were going to do it on telephone. It's what Ian always find a solution.
I really apologize for that. And,
that's okay.
To compensate you, some other time I'll come in studio if it's okay with you.
No problem. It's always a pleasure having you around. And thanks again for accepting my invitation. And I do hope that you would get some rest because, as you've said, we have lots of work yet still for you to do. You are the action man, the action figure, the man who, like you said before, you always say there's nothing else to be done, but there's so much more that you have to do that you didn't address yet. So you definitely have to come back and make sure that these things are completed. Thank you, Jan. It was always a pleasure. And your constituency, they do love you. They've said that. They've shown that. Situations would have happened, but I know definitely you would come back and you would serve us again for another term. Looking forward to having you there as the minister. A minister again. I don't know what your portfolio would be, but whatever it is, I know you are definitely going to make a difference. Oh, there you would have had it. We had the Honorable Ian Patches Liebert on, and I am, like I said to him, I'm grateful that I could have take some of his time from his busy schedule and have him here to tell you what his position is and where he's going from there. My name is Sandra Quilly Atherton. I would have infringed on Voices program. I do make apologies for that. But it's Friday, like I said, it's the day that people would enjoy themselves. The curfew has been lifted some, so now you can go out and you can party until 11:59 if you can drive home in 1 minute's time, and enjoy the rest of the weekend and make sure you stay safe.